Titus. This is John Penuel. I really appreciate how you described your dreams as being foggy and like almost like translucent, like they're not really there, but they are there. You know, everything Duane said registers so deep with me. I was thinking along the lines of when you first said that, I was thinking, like dietary, like lack of fluoride would help, because I go back to thinking of like the Native Americans, before we had this hostile takeover of this particular part of the earth. They had an awareness of, like 5 miles in every direction. Like they knew what was going on around them. Just like those squirrels and those birds, they act like they don't know, but I'm sure they're pretty familiar. If you were to approach them, they'll know to get away from you or not. But I was thinking that as far as the like the mind's eye is like kind of like the pivoting point. Like the focus and the practice is really important. The belief that you're capable is really important. It's knowing who you truly are. But the other end of it is that, if you're not taking care of your vessel, like I was on Prozac for a while in my life, and I still suffer from the effects of the Prozac, even though I've been off it for quite some time, because it's a fluoride-based medicine. And I did not have the knowledge. I did not know that I was polluting my body at the time. So, like my real side experiences just weren't there during that. I guess it was about a year of my life, and the importance of, the dreams. I mean, it's outrageous how important they are for me. But like I was thinking, if your pineal gland, like, and I've done like a lot of research on this, like the pineal gland is so crucial and so important. I mean, it's why we're so interested in having a good diet, why we're so interested in, removing ourselves from these frequencies and the EMFs and, the Wi-Fi and all this, pollution that goes on around us in creation. I'm thinking that, if we keep our vessels as, healthy and as sound as we can, that mind's eye would actually be able to see clearly. I mean, if you're wearing, if you've got sand in your eye, you can't see in the physical sense as well as you could, if you didn't. So it's kind of like along those lines, I'm thinking, as well as what Duane said. That's all I got.
Yes, thank you, John. Let me add to that a little bit. Yeah, the old idea of the mind's eye, it's really not the mind. That's your real view. That's your real awareness. But people think in the terms of the mind because this is what they've been told. You reflect upon yourself because just like you're driving your car, the car isn't driving you, and you can say, well, the car is driving. Well, you can say that, and this mind's eye idea is the same thing. These are people that are unaware, so all they can do is just reference the mind, etc. You see, because they can calculate, but it's really not that. And yeah, you're absolutely right. This is why Paul wrote Herbs and Magic Healers, etc., because diet does make a difference. But then again, everybody's different, and lots of times even the sickest, some of the sickest people I know are healthy or ill or whatever, they're having great real sight experiences. So it can be that, but when you take a leap from the 5 bodies into the real awareness, it is recognition, is what it is. And so once you start doing the new you and the boys start showing you something on the real side, like the physical, yes, you have your physical eyes that see the physical world, but the real you, it's they constantly show you something to see if you can recognize it. And even here, even if you have blurry vision as an example, and then all of a sudden, your vision clears up. All of a sudden, let's say you get glasses. I have stigmatisms in my eyes, so I wear reading glasses, but I can see fine otherwise. But even when you can see something right in front of you, doesn't mean You recognize it. That becomes the difference. So the whole world is in front of everybody, even people, and there's a lot of people with 20/20 great eyesight and even better than that, but they still don't see, the SEEE. They don't really see what's going on, do they? You see, that's the real scene. So the mind's eye idea, because it's been around so long and it's been defined accordingly, like everything else, the old definitions, it really confuses people, and it keeps people locked into the mental ideas of things. In other words, most people decide what life is. It's like, oh, I'm fine, I'm awake, I'm this or that or whatever. They're self-decided. Fine, that's their right, that's their business. But the reality of life, like I said many times, is something you cannot consider at all in any way. You cannot consider it. And so you try whatever, because, see, life already is. It's already perfect. You cannot add to it. There's nothing that you can create or decide can add to it. No, can't be done. This is where you must learn to recognize it. And perceiving it is the perceiving reference I created is to be able to, you might say, read it. Okay, so you be able to read. So in other words, yes, you can start to see that life is an isness, but then how do you relate it and reference it? You see, that becomes the next step. So anyhow, just to add to what you said, yes, John. Yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
No, thank you, Duane.
Yes, I'm not saying I'm right with what I'm saying. It's not about that. It's not to correct others. That's not the idea either. And so, again, each person, just test it out and figure it out yourself. And you'll see that there's just more. There's always more than, you could take all the knowledge in the world, fine, and take it, and it can be useful in certain ways. But there's always more that is unseen, and it's a lot better. So, again, live the adventure.
Okay, I will start with telling us about the reaction from Congo after telling them that they need to change their format, the way they do things, their approach to the new presentation is not just business as usual. It is business as unusual. So the reaction was, should they stop everything they are doing and just concentrate, be looking for other options, other ways of making their presence felt, or what? So I told them, no, it's not that they have to stop any activity they are doing, but they should look outward. That it is time they not only did what they are doing, but they have to look for other avenues to be proactive, to expand their horizons and all that, as Duane was saying. So it was a little confusing for them. So I don't know what Duane has to say about this reaction.
Well, I'm guessing that you confused them very well, Charles. Thank you. And I like what you said in the beginning here. Business as usual and business as unusual. That's very good. I like that. That's a good one. That's good. That's cool. I'm going to use that. Yes, we're doing business as unusual.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, again, you don't stop what you're doing. You don't stop walking or dressing yourself or, brushing your teeth, whatever you're doing. But you, little by little, you add to your adventure. That's all. Yeah, you don't eradicate your life. It's not going into a commune and and everybody wears a sheet and thongs, and you just sit there and hum. No, that's not it. You do whatever you're doing, but you add to it, and at the same time, it's okay to take a look at what you are doing, and just in its own way, maybe refine it a little bit to where you can do better in all areas. But that's up to you. But again, the bigger picture on the Earth is, hey, everything's being destroyed. That's real. I don't like to keep repeating it, but it's like, it only makes sense to step up and try to do something that entails what's really going on here, and not just what we like to think in our head is what we want, or we're pretending we've got a la-la land, and that's all we see, because again, it's survival, and our environment is being destroyed to where one day you're going to wake up and there's like hardly nothing left. And look at a lot of the people that are struggling today around the world. That's an infection that's spreading. And so what are we doing, or how are we adding to this, you see? So, that's all. It's not a radical move like, okay, everybody stop what you're doing, and this is what we're doing now. Well, if, the Martians land and there's spaceships all over and they're blasting everybody, well, then, you're going to stop what you're doing, all right? But until then, or etc. But, in Africa, wonderful Africa, they've got, everything's ruled, and the world's ruled by the, the headstrong, commanded military. This is a military world. And so, to be a little creative or whatever. And so, it's just getting out of that routine. So, the kids there, they're going to the groups with Miriam, etc. But at the same time, just, push the edge a little bit and, see what else there is and take a little risk, etc. And, come up with something new or do something. But I would say, again, I would say get to know the indigenous people, because that's huge, and just get to know that in some way and create some relationship, etc. Something that makes sense. We try to do these things too, and we have a struggle, but we don't stop. And Val's wonderful. Val was commenting on some of the things today in another university or college near the one we're looking at, because we're getting resistance there too. This is how the world is. They've got their system set up, so we're trying. But that's all, Charles. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, then. I'll transmit it to them. Yeah, John, I hear there is an intergalactic war going on as we speak, as it is said in certain circles. So what is the nature of this war, and why is there one going on in the first place?
So, all right. So, are we talking about all of creation, or just the physical realm?
Did you say intergalactic?
Intergalactic. So what is intergalactic to you? What is that? Is that inside your room and you got little UFOs or drones flying around? What is that?
To my understanding, it's a beings of one galaxy pushing against those of another, or waging a kind of war against those the beings of another galaxy or so. So I wanted to. I said I'll bring this up and have some more enlightenment on this. What is this? I know this is within creation. So I don't know what this. You've often said that we are more intergalactic than even the Pleiadians themselves. So, and then we hear that there's an intergalactic war. So, what is this supposed to be?
Well, maybe you've been watching too much television, but yes, things are going on that we don't always know about, and referring to certain areas. We kind of stepped in and did a little interference quite a while ago with the Queen of Orion, put her in the Phantom Zone. The boys did that, and stopped a 10,000-year war with the Orions and the Syrians, of course. And now we actually have a council, and they're referencing, and there's a bigger adventure of this coming. But again, it's we're not doing any trailers yet with it, like the movie trailers. But I don't know what's happening realistically. The real me does on the other side, but the personal side, I don't really follow this stuff. I just kind of go along with what's happening, and just to reference what's going on in the earth is a whole lot here. So, but again, attitudes, and again, it's what are wars about? Do we see the animals and the birds having wars? Yeah, you have little differences. I see one seagull chasing another sometimes, and they're pecking at each other, or the crows have robbed someone's nest and the little birdies are chasing them. Okay, so you got these little things, but you don't see thousands of birds on one side and another attacking each other. So what really is that, any of that galactic war stuff? It's all control. It's about controlling what also. So, but I don't look at everything that's going on, because a lot of it's just really boring stuff. It's like drama. It's like, a married couple that doesn't get along. It's just drama. But again, it's always about control. And so, we're in the middle of it here. We're in the middle of an absolute control human farming on this planet, and people are waking up to that. And so we're kind of like the silent rebellion without rebelling. Okay, so we are doing business as unusual. Yes, it's unusual what we're doing. Most people can't figure it out. That's where they keep pushing us away. But anyhow, Charles, I don't know. Do you have some galactic news for us?
No, I don't have any. My curiosity was rather piqued concerning this war. I thought I would ask from a truly intergalactic being. You know much. You've already said about the encounters with the Queen of Orion, and you said another one, whether they are Syrians or so. The war has been going on for 10,000 years. That's incredible. So, as you say, it's only fight for power, for influence, for dominance. I can imagine that is the cause of the war. I guess these beings are really lost, because instead of finding a way out of creation, they are looking for more ways to tabline themselves and stay quasi permanently in creation. So it's really strange. And I don't know, Duane, whether there are no ideas about awakening to the true reality life is amongst these what I could say Galactians. I don't know whether they have any notions of awakening or to the reality of life. Something that puzzles me.
Charles, I have a little to add to that. Something kind of fun. Yes, there are a few of them, and with what's going on, and after we put the Queen away, we created a new council, and we kind of reduced it after a while. Claudia and I were working on this with Revizar and Paul and the others, and but there are some that stepped up. So I said to Claudia, because Claudia's become the overseer. I made Claudia the overseer of Orion and Sirius. Okay. Now the Syrians are of a particular, they're more natural. They actually build their houses out of rocks and whatever, and the Orions have the technology. And so there was about I wrote a proclamation declaration, and it was one page. I sent it to Claudia. I read it to her too, and then she announced this to the planet on the planet Orion, and only about 200 people showed up or so. And then so from there, I said, okay, well, we're going to pick a delegate from each planet. So we got 2 delegates. Now, they're very interested in learning more about the isness and the real universes. But you're talking a couple hundred out of, over 100 billion. Okay, so, we think there's a lot of people on the planet here. No. These planets are huge, and they've got a lot of people, even more than that. It's insurmountable. But yet, this goes through their planet, and so, again, you've got to see that these people have come from 10,000 years of war, and finally, the queen is gone, so there's no more ruling factor, there's no more directions of doing this or that. Just like on this planet here is nothing but wars when you look at the history. There's always wars or conflict going on here. And again, it's those people that want to control others, and they set things up to, to destroy others or get people to conflict with each other is what they do. They prompt others to do it, and they usually stand back. That's why they created the United States as a takeover country, because the bankers in Europe didn't want to get their hands dirty, so they create the United States, make it look like the big boy, and it creates all the wars and does all the dominations while they're fine over there having their nice little dinner and cocktails. So, yeah, and so there are some, but very, very few. But because we're head of the council for these 2 planets, they got to listen. And so this is just how it is. So we're not a ruling factor there. We're simply providing management so that things can get better, and they're listening in that respect, because a lot of the young people, like Claudia would say, on Orion, and especially Sirius, because they're natural. They didn't want the war in the first place. They were just basically defending themselves, and the Orions were the conquerors, just like here when Inky came here, and the queen, her story was, well, gee, I didn't know what my son was doing or whatever. She sent him here. This is what she does. She's the queen. She sends people around, and she sent her son, Inky, and the other one, Leal, or whatever his name is. And the king, he's really he just sits there and just laps it all in. But they're all in the phantom zone. But they created all this human farming here, and this is what they do on planets until they destroy them. Then when they get bored with them, they destroy them. And this is where they are now. A lot of the higher elites have left the planet, and it's a time bomb. And it's like, here, just do what you gotta, just let it go, destroy it, or whatever. This is what's happening, and it's like a big video game with them. But there are some that are listening, and there is a surprise coming. So we'll see. But again, it takes agreement, and we've had to go through a lot of negotiating with these people, and they're willing, but at the same time, they have to go through their steps of understanding, etc. But they're willing. They're willing to go through it and provide assistance to us on the Earth, etc. Yeah, more so than the cute Palladian ideas, and those are cute, but what is really occurring with them? And again, I can't prove this to anybody, so. It can only prove itself, or it doesn't, because, again, it takes free will, and that's the toughie. And just like any of us, we have free will each moment. So there's always more going on, and all of creation, my gosh, there's so much going on that how can you keep up with it? So, but anyhow, there's a little bit of a view, Charles.